guys, so welcome back to Facebook Friday. For the second case for this week, we're going back to Florida. Specifically, we are going back to Pensacola, Florida. This case, some of you may have heard before because of how crazy it is. If you live in the Florida area, or if you knew anybody involved, always, of course, let me know down below. I'm going to get what's publicly available. And so with that being said, I'm going to quit my rambling and let's go and get started. So let's start, of course, with Ashley. Ashley Britt, which I guess is her maiden name, was born on August 12th, 1977. In 2001, she would graduate from the University of West Florida with a degree in forensic science. She would become a crime scene investigator for about 6 months. And I guess after that, she didn't want it anymore. So she would go back to pursuing the family business, because I guess her family had like a business of their own. And then eventually she would marry a man by the name of Zach McArthur, which is why she's known as Ashley McArthur in public records. So then in 2016, so I guess she got married before 2016 to Zach, she starts having an affair with a bar owner by the name of Brandon, and apparently she buys him like a boat for like $30,000, a motorcycle, and a phone. And of course the phone that she bought him, apparently she was paying the bill, so I guess that way they could stay in contact with each other while having this affair. So then Ashley would become friends with Taylor Ashley Turcotte Wright, who was born on April 23rd, 1984. She gets married to a guy named Jeff. They have a son by the name of Drake. They eventually get divorced. They apparently had a joint bank account, essentially, and it was about $100,000, which apparently she drained out because she was going to take the money for herself. The judge finds out, says, put that money back or you're going to jail. So I guess she had to put the money back. She then goes to Pensacola to be a crime scene investigator, which we assume that's where she meets Ashley McArthur. She starts dating a woman by the name of Cassandra, and Cassandra apparently cheats on her and then starts doing cocaine. So I guess Taylor and Ashley actually became friends pretty quickly, and I guess Taylor trusted Ashley enough to just casually give her $34,000 of the $100,000 from the joint bank account that I mentioned. So I guess the judge was like, yeah, you can take some of it since it's a joint account, but not all of it. So she took out $34,000 for Ashley McArthur to hold. Ashley goes on and to go spend it all. We assume on the affair partner, but I could not confirm what she spent it all on. So then apparently she even tries to kill Taylor by putting some cocaine in her alcohol and make it look she overdosed. And so I guess eventually Taylor found out about Ashley spending all her money. So I guess eventually Ashley would basically wind up having a court date, which was for September 7th, 2017. But for some weird reason, it got pushed back to the 12th. And had it not got pushed back to the 12th, what happened on September 8th wouldn't have happened. And so basically on September 8th, Cassandra, who was now the ex-girlfriend of Taylor, basically calls Taylor repeatedly. Taylor is also not answering due to what happens to her. She then proceeds to somehow get Ashley's number and proceeds to call Ashley, asking, hey, do you know what happened? What's going on with Taylor? Because she's not answering the phone. Ashley tells her she's currently riding horses to release some stress because she got some stress going on. Not knowing actually, Taylor by this point is already dead because she's been shot in the back of the head and Ashley's wrapped her body up in a hammock. But of course, Cassandra does not know that. So the Cassandra's like, okay, when she gets done with riding these horses, can you get her to call me because she's not answering the phone? I'm concerned, as any person would be. So then later that day, apparently Ashley actually texts Cassandra like, hey, Taylor apparently actually got thirsty, so then she went in an Uber and then just left. And I don't know where she went after that. And then apparently Cassandra would later get a text from Taylor. So Taylor's number, we pretty much believe that Ashley had sent the text, pretending to be Taylor essentially, saying that she needed some space. Give her time to dispose of Taylor's body. And so speaking of which, she goes to Home Depot the next day to get soil and cement so that way she can dispose of Taylor's body. So then Ashley would eventually be brought in by the police. Cassandra had apparently officially reported Taylor missing on September 10th. Cassandra then apparently, I guess Ashley had got out. So then Cassandra then apparently asked Ashley, hey, could you come get Taylor's stuff in my house, essentially. And then Cassandra go back to the police on the 14th. Ashley was actually brought back in on October 19th. So we crossed over to a new month. Police proceed to show her cell phone towers of the day that Taylor was last confirmed to have been alive. And it's pinging your phone and Taylor's phone on that day to a farm that your family just happens to own. So then they go to that farm because they got permission or warrant or whatever. They start digging around and they find Taylor's body in a shallow grave. So then, of course, Ashley is then arrested for murder. A GoFundMe was raised, I guess, for their son, because like I said, they had a son. Taylor had a son and all this. And I think $1,935 was raised from what I saw. Ashley was allowed out on bond, which was like $400,000, by the way, as long as she wore an ankle monitor and you had to stay at your mom's house. And so anyway, obviously she did not stay at her mom's house. In fact, she actually crossed state lines, so definitely a felony. And apparently, allegedly, even gave a kidney to one of her friends who apparently needed a kidney. And remember, like I said, she was actually married herself. So a neighbor would actually say that she was seen around Zachary, which would be her still husband at this point, at his house. And then apparently they do some deeper digging. Remember the family business I mentioned earlier? Apparently she stole like $13,000 from them and apparently even tried to burn the business down So the family business I mentioned, apparently she stole like $13,000 from them, and apparently burned the business down to basically cover up those records. And so for that crime, not the murder, but for that, she gets sentenced to 7 years in jail, 3 years probation. And then like in August of 2019, Zachary officially files for divorce, understandably. And so at trial, defense will try to say that due to Ashley's back problems, that she could not have physically lifted Taylor's body to her grave, to the grave that y'all found. Okay? And they also try to say that yes, our client did buy cement, but the cement that we bought was a different cement from the one who was seen at the grave. Now, I did not see whether or not it was a different, but I guess they were just pulling at whatever straws they can get. And so Ashley once again sentenced to life with a minimum of 25 years. And so yeah, like I said, that's the case of Ashley McArthur. And so with that being said, like I said, if you knew Ashley, Taylor, Jeff, Zachary, anybody involved in the case, definitely let me know down below. And so with that being said, I cover fatal females 3 times a week. Subscribe for more fatal females. I'll see you guys next one. Bye.